I had exactly 480 Svensiver $320 disappear from our joint savings account the morning after my gallbladder surgery, while I was still dizzy from anesthesia and counting the beeps of a hospital monitor like they were keeping me alive. The nurse had just helped me sip water when my phone vibrated. It was a bank alert, then another, then another. Each one sounded like a door closing somewhere I couldn't see. I opened my banking app with shaking fingers and saw the balance where our future had been. Zeroed out, routed through a shell LLC I'd never heard of, backed by an authorization code I hadn't signed. On my bedside table, next to my pain meds and a half-eaten cracker, sat a small padded envelope I didn't remember receiving. No return address. Inside was a silver USB drive with a strip of blue tape wrapped around it. And in that moment, before I even cried, before I even called my husband, I understood something terrible. This wasn't a mistake. This was a plan. Let me take you back. 2 weeks earlier, my life still looked ordinary from the outside. My name is Marissa Holt. I was 38, a compliance analyst for a regional bank in Minneapolis, the person who made sure other people followed rules. I married Daniel Holt 12 years earlier when he was a struggling real estate broker and I was still paying off student loans. My flaw, if I'm honest, was loyalty past logic. I believed in working things out long after the math stopped working. Daniel and I had been fine in that quiet way people use when they mean distant. He stayed late, I worked remote, we talked about groceries, not dreams, but I trusted him. He handled investments. I handled paperwork. That was our rhythm. Then I had surgery. Routine, they said. Outpatient, they said. But complications kept me overnight. While I was unconscious, Daniel signed something. While I was vulnerable, he moved everything. 3 days before my surgery, he told me he had a client emergency. Big developer, he said, tying his tie. If I land this, we're set. I believed him. He kissed my forehead and left, smelling faintly of cedar cologne and peppermint gum. That scent would haunt me later. That night, I slept alone. The next morning, I was wheeled into pre-op. By evening, our money was gone, and a USB drive appeared beside my bed. The clock started ticking 2 days later. My phone rang while I was at home, still wrapped in blankets, living on soup and painkillers. It was Daniel. Hey, he said lightly. We need to talk about something. I put the phone face down for 3 seconds. Then I picked it up. Go on. There's a property opportunity, he said. High return. But I moved some funds temporarily. How much? All of it. My stomach dropped, and it wasn't the surgery. You moved $487,000 without telling me? Marissa, he sighed. If you miss this, you lose everything. This is how people get rich. That sentence didn't sound like him. It sounded rehearsed. Where is it now? I asked. In escrow, under my new company. What company? Pause. Northline Ventures. I wrote it down. Send me the documents. Later, he said quickly. I'm driving. He hung up. That night, I plugged in the USB. It wasn't labeled. Inside were folders, audio, emails, spreadsheets, security footage clips, and a PDF titled Draft Trust Amendment, Holt Family Irrevocable Trust. We didn't have a trust. Or so I thought. Phase 3 of my life began with memory. I started listening. The first audio file was dated 6 months earlier. Daniel's voice, clear, confident. And once Marissa's under anesthesia, the power of attorney kicks in. It's notarized. We're covered. A woman laughed softly. I love how careful you are, she said. I recognized her. Erin Wallace, 32, marketing consultant. She'd been helping Daniel rebrand his business for a year. I'd brought her coffee once. The next file. You're sure she won't notice? Erin asked. She trusts me, Daniel replied. She reads contracts for a living. Ironically, she never reads mine. I sat on my couch, wrapped in a blanket, feeling like someone had reached inside me and turned off the lights. Another file. Video. A restaurant. Upscale. Exposed brick. Candlelight. Daniel across from Erin, holding her hand. "I'm doing this for us," he said. "Once the trust is amended, everything routes through Northline. If anything happens, it's protected." "What about her?" Erin asked. "She'll get a settlement," he said. "Enough to be quiet." I paused the video. Enough to be quiet. That was his plan. Two memories surfaced then. First, 5 years ago, when his first big deal fell apart and he blamed me for being too cautious. "You always slow me down," he'd snapped. "Other wives push their husbands forward." Second, 2 years ago at his firm's holiday party, when Erin had stood beside him like she belonged there, and he hadn't introduced me for 15 minutes. I'd laughed it off. I was the scapegoat. She was the golden child. I had ignored it. Now came the dehumanization. In one email, Daniel wrote to his lawyer, "Marissa is practical, not emotional. She'll accept a clean exit if it's framed professionally. Like I was a contract, not a person." Phase 4 arrived 3 days later. I contacted an attorney named Rebecca Lynn. She listened without interrupting. Then she said, "You have a forensic gold mine." She explained slowly. The power of attorney was activated improperly. The notarized signature appears forged. The trust amendment violates your prenuptial carve-out clause, and the LLC, Northline Ventures, is a shell. What does that mean? It means he's hiding marital assets. She paused. And committing fraud. Then she handed me a folder. The second folder changed everything, she said. It was labeled Northline, metadata. Every file had hidden timestamps, GPS locations, device IDs, all traced to Daniel's laptop, including the forged signature, including the wire transfers, including a falsified deed for a commercial condo in St. Paul. He hadn't just taken money, he'd built a maze. Phase 5 came fast. Daniel escalated. He started posting online. Photos with Erin. Hashtags. New beginnings. Chart fresh start. He filed for divorce first. His petition claimed I was emotionally unavailable and financially obstructive. He requested spousal support from me. He also sent a text. "Let's keep this civil. Don't embarrass yourself." I stared at the message. Then I waited. 2 weeks later, he tried to sell the condo using the forged deed. That triggered a title dispute. The title company froze the transaction. Daniel panicked. He called me. "Did you do this?" "I'm recovering," I said calmly. "I'm resting." "You're lying." "Send everything in writing," I replied. He hung up. Phase 6 was strategy. Rebecca brought in a forensic accountant named Luis Moreno. He spread documents across a conference table. "This isn't revenge," Rebecca said once, looking me in the eye. "This is justice," Luis explained. "The LLC funneled your joint funds into 3 accounts, 1 offshore, 2 domestic. We'll subpoena all of it." "What about the trust?" I asked. He smiled slightly. "There's a canary clause." "A what?" "If anyone tries to secretly amend it, all assets revert to the original beneficiary." "Which is?" "You." Daniel had never read past page 5. Phase 7 was public. The Minneapolis Art Council fundraiser. A black tie gala at the Walker Museum. Daniel was a sponsor. Erin was on his arm. I arrived with Rebecca and Luis. No confrontation. Just presence. During the donor recognition segment, the board chair cleared her throat. "We've received a verified affidavit regarding misappropriation of funds connected to Northline Ventures." Daniel froze. Screens lit up, security footage, bank transfers, emails, metadata overlays. The crowd murmured. Erin stepped back from him. Rebecca leaned in. "Now," I stood. "My husband moved $487,320 from our joint account while I was under anesthesia," I said calmly. "He forged my signature, violated an irrevocable trust, and laundered funds through a shell LLC." Silence, then whispers, then phones, then security. Daniel tried to speak. No one listened. Phase 8 was court. 3 months later. Hennepin County. The courtroom went silent when Luis presented the audit. The judge read the canary clause twice, then ruled. Asset freeze, immediate restitution, restraining order, nullification of the forged deed, referral for criminal investigation. Daniel lost his license. Northline dissolved. Erin testified for immunity. She got none. Phase 9 began 1 year later. 1 year later, I lived in a small lakefront condo. I drank coffee on my balcony. I ran a compliance consulting firm. I slept without medication. The money was back, with interest. Daniel had probation and court-ordered restitution. He worked retail. Erin moved states. We never spoke again. Sometimes people ask if I hate him. I don't. I learned something better. Revenge isn't noise. It's records. It's patience. It's knowing when to put the phone face down, then waiting. If you're listening and you're in a relationship where respect has quietly disappeared, where trust me replaces transparency, remember this: you don't need to scream. You need evidence. You need boundaries. You need clarity. Because quiet strength doesn't explode. It restructures. So tell me, where are you watching from? And if this story reminded you that truth still works, subscribe. You never know when you'll need it.